Hi, welcome to Tim's Notebook tutorial where we're going to get into a quick time saver for coloring your comic book page, ganging up several pages together into one long strip so that you can create like a messy layer before you get to the finalized layers where you tighten things up. It's a huge time saver and it makes coloring actually a lot more fun. So let's get into that right now, and I'll show you how that works. I use to quickly color pages using a technique of ganging up the pages in your comic book. In this case, I'm going to take 5 pages and scale them down and group them together into one long ribbon, which saves on memory and makes it easier to color, especially when you have things and subjects like characters. You have the same hair, same hat, same clothes from panel to panel, and you're just simply repeating yourself. I start with, this is the first page here. This is page 16. And what we'll do first is we'll scale the size. Pretty simple. But before I do that, let me explain to you the different components here. I have 4 layers here. I have the first one, which is black lines. Okay, just like it sounds. The next layer is the gutters. And you can create that by hitting the magic wand anywhere outside the black lines and filling it with white. And we have the colored lines, and I'll explain in a little bit what we're going to do with that. That's a separate layer where I've taken out lines in the black line document, and as you can see, like, these are going to be colored in later. The reason why you can see through the layer, this layer with black lines, is that it's set for multiply. Like if I go to normal, now you can't see anything. Multiply means that you can see through. Okay. Then we have the last layer. I call this panel pick. And what this is a layer that is a little bit larger than the actual panel itself. It goes beyond the gutters. If I were to click the gutter layer, it covers that up. But if I take a magic wand and choose one of these panels, like so, oops, I'm sorry. Okay, like that. If I choose this panel, you can see that I've actually chosen material that goes beyond the edge of the gutter, so that when I create my color layer, I'll be sure to be filling in everything inside that panel with no little mistakes, little gaps showing through. I've had that happen in the past where there's been funny little gaps showing up. So anyway, there you have the components of the page. Now what you want to do is you want to scale this down. I want to mention that this is not really the actual line art that you're going to end up using in the final page. This is all just for mocking up purposes. So when you save this page, you want to make sure the original has been saved somewhere else. So we'll change the scale on it. Image size is going to be 50%. Okay. So, and still keep the resolution at 300 pixels per inch. All right. And now you want to change the canvas size, and you have the box clicked for relative, and you're adding, since I'm going to make this into a 5-page strip, we're going to add percentage-wise 400% to what we have. And if I did this right, there should be an empty space there. That looks about to be 4 pages wide. Now let's go ahead and save this as, you can choose your own naming convention and do it whatever way you find helps to make sense for you. Let's give this a name. My comic books Mayfield 8 Part 4. Let's just go ME4.16, 16 through 20 are the pages, so we'll go 1620. All right, we'll just call this ME4.1620. And we'll save it in a file. I call it colors. All right, now we got that saved. Now the next one, page 17, we go to the same method. We scale it down 50%. And then the image has been scaled 50%, the canvas size. Now you want to anchor it on the right and add 100% to the width on the left. So you go to percentage, the width is ready to go, 100%. Okay, now you take the layers of your document and holding down the shift key, you select all the layers together and then right click, duplicate layers, and this will transport it over to any file that's open right now. And I call that 1620. There it is right there. Okay. And we'll just go okay. Now you can go ahead and click off of this file, and you don't save the changes you made. And you can see now we got that in there. So I have the 3 other pages ready to go. Let's just go through that same process. Oh, a little note, there was adult material on this page, so I had to put a black rectangle over it, and you can kind of guess what's going on here. It's a bedroom scene, okay? But just for the sake of YouTube, it'll probably kick this video out if the algorithm detects salacious material here. It's funny, I could have a page of somebody's head getting chopped off, but if I show genitals, that's the end of the world for them. So, okay, so image size 50%. And then canvas size, this is going to be the middle page. So we'll go ahead and anchor it on the right again. And instead of 100 pixels added to the left, it'll be instead of 100% added to the left, it'll be 200%. Okay. And then again with the, hold down the shift key, select all the layers. Right click, duplicate layers. And then we don't save what we have here now. Okay. You can see how it's starting to form something now. Now I got 2 more spaces left on this one. So let's go to the other pages I have ready here. Image size, 50%. Okay. Canvas size, anchor it over to the right, and so now it's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 300%. Okay. Duplicate these layers to that original ME4 1620. Okay. Then we can close this file, don't save the changes. All right, now I got 1 more page to go here, and that's this one. Image size, 50%. Canvas size, 400% because we got 4 pages. Now, if you want to get tricky with this, you can always add more pages. You're not limited to 5. If you want to do 10, you could do this whole process over again and create a second strip of the next 5 pages. And on that first strip of 5 pages, add 100% height, right? And create a space below it. And on the second strip, add 100% height on the top of it where you create a space above it. And then combine the two with the duplicate layers feature. I like this feature because you're not copying and pasting. Okay. And we're not going to save this version. All right, now we got it all together. Now you see we got a billion layers here. So what I'm going to do, and it's important to name the same layers of each page the same thing so they're easy to identify with. So what I'll do is I'll take the black lines first, and I'll shut off anything that's not black lines. That looks right. I got 5 that are open, and there's 5 layers. Then you have to be in one of the layers like that, okay? And you go to Layer, Merge Visible. Merge Visible. Now here's a feature that you have to do, or it's helpful to do in this mock-up phase in Photoshop, where this is now, these black lines are set to multiply, okay? And what that means is white becomes transparent in multiply, but also you want to get rid of this white too. For some reason there's little vestiges, little edges that show to kind of throw you off. So what I like to do is go to select color range, all right, and you choose highlights with the fuzziness and the range maxed out, okay, all the way to the right here. You're selecting white. As when you say highlights, that's what you're doing. You're selecting white, and you go okay, and then just hit delete or clear. You just get rid of that, and then Control D or yeah. What is that cloverleaf? The Apple symbol button. I can never figure out what that is. Apple symbol D to get out of the selection tool. So okay, so what I've done now is I've created line art. Yeah, you can see how it gets a little bit jaggedy, a little pixelated when it's at 50%. It's fine for coloring, but it's for the printed material, it would look a little bit fuzzy. That's why I'm saying you want to keep the black line layer as the final image as a separate document. All right, so let's zoom out, and then we'll combine all the gutters together. Like I said, each page had the gutter layer labeled as such, so and you have to be in one of those layers to combine them. Layer, merge visible. Okay, pretty okay, pretty now here's the colored lines. I not sure if I explained this one earlier, but what colored lines means is I'm going to make this into something where you can apply any color in here and have them not be black. Okay? But first let's combine all these layers together. Merge visible. Okay? And then just to finish the game, for some reason I got 6 layers here. Let's figure out what's wrong here. That's the right one. Oh, no, there's 5. Okay. It looked like 6. Okay. My mistake. All right. So, and then merge visible. Okay. Now I turned this all into one document with 4 layers instead of 4 times 5, 20 layers. Okay. So, like I was saying about the colored layers, let's go into that. And I'll show you really quick what this neat little tool is. you go to the color range selection again. Or you have to be, I'm sorry, you have to be in that layer to do this. Okay, there we go. Color range, and just like the highlights and everything, but now you select invert. All right? And you go, okay. Because now what it's done is picked everything inside the white instead of the white itself. And then what you do is you actually delete this layer. You got the selection going, that's fine. You delete the layer, create a new layer, and then down here, I'm not sure if you can see that, you have the layer mask tool, add layer mask. What a layer mask is, it's going to take everything you selected and allow you only to see the selection, and it'll mask off everything else. So let's go ahead and do that. And in the case of masking off the color layer, if you did it right, this box will look like black all around. Right now it has no information in it, so let's go into the art layer, not the mask layer, but the art layer, and select black, and we'll go with the paint bucket tool and just fill that whole layer back in with black. And what that did is it brought back all those lines, you see, but now they're all black. Let's go ahead and rename this layer colored lines. There you go. Okay. And then, so we got this whole setup now. We got the gutters, the colored lines, the black lines. We don't have the color layer though. So right next to the bottom of the panel pick, we'll add a layer and just simply choose white and the paint bucket and fill that in. All right. Now, the black lines, you've taken out the white and you set it to multiply. Let's go ahead and lock it. You want to lock that layer. And the gutters, you want to lock that layer because those are pretty much done. You're not going to color in that. And the panel pick, let's lock that one too. And now it's set up for coloring. And I'll show you the beginning basics of what you're trying to do with this. And layer one, oh, it says layer one. Let's rename this one just color. All right. And first, so once you got this set up now, let's go ahead and save it. Okay. Frequently save your document, especially when you've put some work into it. Let's go to panel pick. All right. So now we're choosing this panel. Let's go to the color layer. And then hit my paintbrush tool. I have a little trick I use here, which I'll cover in another video, where I have this, it transforms my mouse. The scroll wheel now becomes left bracket, right bracket, and now I can move the paintbrush up and down. And the color layer, this is all one layer, and it kind of works against the principles of coloring a comic book page because you're just simply intentionally going to get real messy. All right, and like here's the sky down here, but I want to first go to the panel pick that one now, go back into the color layer, go to the paintbrush, paint that. There are often times when you don't have to stay inside the panel strictly, so we can shut that off. It's nice to have it if you need to have it. But let me just go right ahead and start, coloring stuff. Let's pick a skin color for the guy. Okay, and this is literally how you do it. You just start coloring shit in. You just start doing it, and you don't worry about if it's the right color, the right choice. choice. Um, one technique I use sometimes if I'm really flummoxed, I don't know where to begin. Maybe it's nicer if it isn't such a stark, screaming white color. Let's pick a like a nice beige color, and we'll go panel pick, and all the panels that could benefit from that. Let's say the farmhouse scenes. Holding down the shift key, picking all these panels. And I got the beige color selected. Let's go to the paint bucket. And there we go. Okay. You could do that. You could start with just a color put in the background, and now you got something that isn't so stark white, and it gives you an idea. A nice trick I do is I have these settings here. I have one where it's at 50% opacity, and if you notice, it's not so harsh. You know, you can. Okay, I'll set it back to 100%, and you can see a difference here, right? It just like I choose, let's say a bright yellow at 100%. Let's go to 50%. See, now it's kind of nice. Maybe I'll like take the hit the option key to the color pick, and or I'll switch this little box, the X button, and choose yellow for one side, and then the darker kind of ochery, mustardy, or yeah, ochre kind of color for the other side. And at 50%, you can see how, or I'll choose the two color skin colors here. Okay. And at 50%, you can really modulate this and have a good time. You're just kind of coloring stuff in. But really, that's the whole spirit of this page, is that you're not trying to get it perfect. You just want to get it kind of roughed in and messed in. Okay? And before I step away from this document, I'll show you one that's where I took this very same series of pages, and I did mock them up more. Let's talk about the color. Let's talk about the colored lines. Shut off the other layers and zoom in. And here's what you do want the paintbrush set at 100% opacity. Here's when you're inside the box here. Let's pick a nice dusty gray. All right, this is the reflection of the truck. Let's maybe pick a blue on that one. That's the headlights. Maybe more of a robin's egg blue. But you can see how that really gives you a lot of options. Here's the eyeglasses. I chose green, I believe, before, so let's pick a green there. Well, you can't really see that on the screen, but the reflection in the mirror, or not the mirror, the glass in the phone booth. And you might say to yourself, if you made them black, well, how am I going to know what's what? Just like click them on and off, and you'll see where you have some work to do. Oh yeah, okay, here. Glasses. In this version of Photoshop, there's a whole strip over here of previous colors you chose. That's a really convenient little tool there. So anyway, that's the story about the colored lines. And once you got the strip ready, I'll show you in a later tutorial how you cut these apart, blow them right back up again, and take out, you don't need the black line layer. You add in the or even the colored line layer, you're using the colors, but then you also substitute that for the more sharper full scale page that you had before. So let me show you. Okay, I have to. YouTube will let me get by on this one, but I have to go ahead and kind of censor this. Excuse me. There we go. All right. And it's still a little roughed in. I spent a good time on this one. Here's that colored layer, okay? It's still kind of roughed in, but I did a few tricks where I selected some panels and I just colored everything generally a little bit, sometimes with the opacity set way low on the paintbrush. Sometimes I would create a new layer and with the paint bucket fill in solid color over the panels and then back off the opacity so that it's well, let me show you. Okay, like let's say right here, like I want this panel right here to be darker, so I would create a layer that is above the color layer. Okay, then well, we can go to panel pick first and pick this area. All right, then go to that layer I just created and pick a color. Let's say like a dark red, and hit that with a paint bucket. All right. You might say, oh, you ruined it. No, okay. But look at this now. Look at this. The opacity, start backing off on it. See? This is a really sneaky tool I use to make it look like I'm a genius with color. Because you can have a page, you can have a panel with the colors really garish and they don't look good together at all. But if you do that, create a new layer, fill it in with the paint bucket tool, and then back off the opacity. Right now that's at 11%. Let me zoom it back up to 100%. Okay, 100%. Yeah, whatever, 10, 11%. And then Command E is like on a Mac, the clover leaf symbol by the spacebar. That will merge it down. Okay, now I've saved those changes I made to that panel. And believe me, gang, that's a really, really fast way to kind of line all those colors up into something you really want. Let's say there's parts in the panel that definitely do not need that kind of color, like this crack in the door. You could always, let me back up a little bit. Okay. Let me change the opacity a little bit so you can see more of a difference here. Okay. You can always, there, take the eraser tool on that layer. Okay, and as long as that's set for 100%, you can cut out. Like I want the light blaring through that door. Okay, so I want this material in here not to be affected by that color I chose. That's fine. Then hit Command E, and now see, you're in control. You can see how that really does kind of pull all the colors together and make it look right. I'm aware of the fact that the edges don't match up and everything's kind of sloppy. That's not the purpose of this tutorial. It's more like to just show you how to rough color everything in. So that's a story with that. There's one other little that's a story with that. There's one other little hack that I did. This here is a floating document. It's set where the I locked the image pixels. That means you can't accidentally color this layer, but it does mean you can move it around. Okay. And what this is, it's a combination going with screen grabs and images from other pages, actual Google images of a farmhouse, the interior of a truck, of a car, 2 motorcycles, just stuff for references. So when I'm painting, okay, I have this live and it's open, and oops. Okay, I hope YouTube doesn't censor me for that. But I'm in the color layer, and if this is open, you can see it. You can take the paintbrush tool and you can actually pick it. I have to use an old version of Photoshop. Those bastards changed this tool. They got rid of this. I don't know why, but I like the in the brush tool and option click, you can see the color you're picking on the top part of the ring here. And then, okay, let's say there's a little sky, there's a sky right there. I want that color sky from a previous panel. Okay. There's the roof of the farmhouse. Let's say I want to match the roof. Oops. There we go. Let's say I want to match the roof of the farmhouse. There you go. You can literally match things with that. And when you're done with this, you just simply throw it away. If you don't want to look at it, you click the eyeball icon and it disappears. Okay, so that's one really quick hack. And last thing I'll say about the color layer is that you can see from these pages I had a scene change from outside at a truck stop, inside a motel room, and then out on a farmhouse. You can see how generally I kept the color palette kind of rustic, yellowish, greenish for the farmhouse. Much more red, dark reds and purples for the inside the motel room. And then I actually did a few tricks where I hit the contrast. Like you're doing photo retouching, you know, you hit the contrast of these panels here. I did the panel pick. Boom, 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 just those panels. And then I moved up to the color layer, and then adjustments, brightness, contrast. Okay, that's another technique you can use to go in and mess with it. But that pretty much is it. It's not much more to say about this. Just that once you've got all these colors in place and they look good, like you zoom out, okay? And hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and show. I don't think YouTube's going to censor me for that. When you've zoomed out and they look about right, then you're ready to move on to the next step, which is cleaning up and using a lot of layer masks. But a lot, I mean like 8 layers at tops. It sounds like a lot, but it isn't really when you start working with this. Using 8-layer masks and going into those little components, the legs, the feet, the hair, the wall, the car's windshield, all the parts that need to be separated. Then you go in and just kind of clean it up. This cuts down painting a page like this from taking like 8 hours to taking like 3.5 to 4 hours, especially if you have somebody helping you out with the flatting. That's it for this video. I hope this is useful. Make sure to subscribe to watch more videos of Tim's Notebook, and I will see you again next time. Okay, I hope that was useful for everybody. As you can understand, there's elements that you have to kind of link this to
in other stages of coloring in Photoshop that kind of work in concert with each other. Further on down the road, there'll be more tutorials on how to actually take the cells of color and to tighten it up a little bit more. But I thought this was a really fun way to introduce you to putting pages together into a one large strip and to just kind of go with it and play around with the color itself. Remember that I have an online store. I believe it's shop.timsnotebook.com, where you can get my biker comic book, Mayfield 8. It's a story of a 17-year-old kid who goes on a road trip to Mexico and encounters a lot of bad things along the way, namely a biker gang that's out for his blood. I have part 1 and part 2 in physical form. Part 3 is finished, going off to the printer at the end of this month, along with part 4. And I'm kind of honing in on the pages for the tutorial. Kind of shows you a preview of some of the pages there, edited for public viewing, of course. And then right now, I'd like to take you to a quick critique that I have put together for a guy who on Reddit who goes by the name Traditional Shower. He has a kind of a biblical era story with soldiers and kings, and it's untitled, but let's just go right to it and see what he's done.
This guy goes by the name of Traditional Shower, and I'm going to critique his 6-page comic book, which we found on Reddit, and it seems to be set in a quasi-biblical era. I want to say medieval, but not quite. It's more like chariots and spears instead of swords and dragons. It definitely looks like that era, like the Egyptians, Phoenicians, something kind of quasi-biblical about it. So it looks cool. I like the lighting and the contrast, the dark rooms and the bright rooms. And you have quite an imagination. There's a pretty good sense of proportion, of scale. First off, I think the font choice is okay, but it's really, really hard to read this it's hard to read these word boxes here being so dark brown. That I would definitely make a change. Font choice is okay, but it's hard for me to read those things. So there's that. All these wars, all this pain. How much more do I have to endure? And then we have a close up of the man's face and the hot hands going to his brow. And he's looking elsewhere in the room. This is a real good focal point right here. The face brings you right in. You want to know more in the story. To enjoy the pleasures that God's given us, like the sweetness of a young red wine. Okay, well, he's going to imbibe. The warmth. Oh, we got a typo here. Warmth is what you're trying to say. The H got cut off. The warmth of a bright, full summer day. The company of someone else. This one's missing a little bit in terms of anatomy. Right here. That's supposed to be a beautiful woman. Oh, there's a hint of a breast right here. Okay. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Maybe practice a little more on anatomy and get that. Not that you have to know how to draw beautiful women, but that's the point of the story in this panel. The company of someone else. Her beauty bewilders me. Okay, so I'm not really getting that there. So the good points is that you do have his anatomy down pretty good, but it's not really making that connection with the woman. So he goes on and drinks, and he's stewing. He's thinking. Then we have he writes a letter. Letter gets handed off, and again I need to zoom in here. See, what is he writing? Oh yeah, this. If you're gonna make this for the web, or even for the print, David, King of Israel. Yeah, it is biblical. Okay, so it involves King David. Yeah, this needs to be worked on a little bit. I would practice if you're going to make this art. Just draw it with your hand and make sure that it's legible. Cut down on the words so that that we can read it. Another idea would be to minimize this document and have a floating, like similar to these narration boxes here, have another box float to it with quotation marks saying what's on the letter. That's a possibility too. Sire, a letter from the king. And here we got, on this right-hand page, a kind of jumpiness. We got panel here, then over here, over here, over here. There's a little left, right thing going on. And that can be tricky sometimes if it gets away from you. Sometimes somebody's going to start reading a panel out of sequence. But I see kind of what you're trying to do. You're trying to make a panel placements kind of more artistic and interesting looking. So I think it's good to experiment with that, but make sure that it doesn't interfere with the flow and the reading of it. Like, for example, here on these pages, it is pretty straightforward. We have two diagonals down here. And on this last page, the panel placement is pretty straightforward too. But anyway, the letter was sent with great urgency, my lord. The king demands that this message will be carried out immediately. Well, in that case, let's hope it's not too late then. Thank you, son. Yeah, you see, okay. So he's running here with the letter, handing it to this lieutenant or the marshal, field marshal, whatever this guy is, man of importance. But my eyes almost want to scan. You see what I'm saying? My eyes don't want to go from here to here to here, which is what you want me to do. My eyes might go like from here to here to here. So you need to make it very clear where to scan the page and where to read the next panel. The feeling of doubt and disbelief of the choice I made, not knowing the reason for this small but urgent request, but I expect them to listen, and they will. Uriah. Yes, Commander. Tomorrow you'll be fighting. Yeah, here. Personally, I think I'd stay away from the diagonal panels because I never really use them. I don't really care for them that much. And it's only because they draw attention to themselves. And you see triangles here when there's all these rectangles. It's really the story that should be the most important thing, and not the way that the images are laid out. Insofar that it interferes with the enjoyment of the page. Like, I think these two panels down here could have easily been just simply sequential. This cut in half, and this guy put on the left, then the right, and then down here. I can see it in his eyes, but I still don't pity him. The fear before the battle, to know that these minutes will probably be your last. Well, I guess that note from King David said that they have to go to battle immediately. Okay, and there he is. This is actually really well done with the sea of men here. I can see right away the man that is the subject of this battle. In the moment of letting go, attack. Yeah, the problem with this is that we might have a little bit too much on this page here, and the attack part. If this were mine, I think I would do like a splash page, like a whole. Like, imagine if instead of going right to this page. Oh, he was dreaming all this? Okay. Well, nonetheless, if there's a battle scene, maybe if up here, okay, we inserted a panel just showing a large landscape with the two masses clustered away from us at equal distance. Then this panel, then this panel, then this panel, then the page would end right here. Okay? Then you turn the page and we would have a whole splash page, like just a full page of the enemy soldiers attacking. And then maybe a second page that could also be either a splash page or with a huge panel in the first part of the other soldiers defending. Because here, and again, I'm kind of spitballing the ideas here. Here you get to this crucial part in your story where there's going to be a battle, okay? And you have a lot of psychological lead up to that. The talking back and forth and the preparation and the girding your spirit and getting ready for it. And then when we finally get to the battle, it's a sliced up pizza slice down here, two triangles, and just a tiny little taste right there. This, I think, is probably the coolest part of the whole comic that you made. This right here, these dudes going at it. That pose right there, that is really awesome. I love that pose. Those are hard to pull off, to get that right kind of fighting. So definitely needed more on the battle, and then I wake the portrayal of his king, the love from his family, and I realize the consequences of my deed. I realize I'm truly lost. Okay. I'm a little confused as to how the woman got in here now. And not related to this guy. Okay, it's a different person entirely. So now, yeah, there's a confusion as to whether this whole comic itself was a dream. If this king man in the front was the same dreamer at the end here. If so, why does he... Let's just go with that. Yeah, that he is supposed to be the same guy. I think that you need to hone a little bit more of the continuity so that we know we're back at the kingdom and he's dreaming. So a little better work on the choice of panels and the number of panels you devote to your story, and a little more work on the continuity. The good points is that you have a lot of panels that are really nicely done cinematically, like the lighting here. This zoom in here is really good. And the fighting here, that's really good. So I think maybe in the future you could play to your strengths a little more, like that psychological thing. And try not to be so tricksy with the panel placement and work more on just making it easy to read and legible and a simple story for the eyes to scan. And that's about all I can say about it. I want to see more of this, and just keep on drawing. Excellent work. Thank you very much.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that tutorial and got a few insights as to what to do for comic book pages. I forgot to mention as well, subscribe.timsnotebook.com gets you on a newsletter, as well as getting the PDFs for these comic books. But the latest I'm reviewing right now is Starweed Part 2. That's coming up on Tuesday. If you subscribe, you can get access to that right now in your email browser when it pops in. Every Tuesday and Thursday there'll be a new email, a new subject for you to enjoy and to read. I hope you get as much out of that as I get out of the world of comics. I like to go on Kickstarter and fund lots and lots and lots of comic book projects, and my way of paying back to all this great material, this great content, is to present an email review every single Tuesday, kind of similar to the critique I did of the comic book from Reddit. Anyways, hope you enjoy that. Remember to hit the subscribe button if you want to see the latest updates. I'm trying to get a pace now of every other week, every other Sunday. We'll be uploading a new tutorial video and marching along. And keep on drawing and keep on getting better at your craft. See you later.